Okay. So today's episode of Royal Rant, we're gonna do just a little a little travel through time. Just try to explain a few things. A few little things sparked my brain on this one. Someone brought up a question about Asians and was um, just kind of asked me the question that was proposed was, why does it seem like Asians are really cheap, right? And I was like, okay. So I did some thought, some research, did a little bit of digging, right? So we're gonna travel through time with this, and then with that, we're gonna explain a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's gonna go full circle, right? So let's start with it. Okay, so in order to get to explain Asians in America, we gotta do a little time travel. You gotta deal with slavery and certain stuff that happened, right? So the whole slavery thing happened, Civil War, all that happens. Black people start getting smart, right? A bunch of stuff. So, all right, there's a bunch of stuff in my brain that I know that I have to say, but I'm looking at the fact that I'm limited by recording time, so I'm trying to figure out how to summarize but make a bunch of sense. So, I'm gonna have to speak a little fast to you. So, okay. So you got to realize that the way that things were set up in America, basically everything was set to where, all right, if we're going to be able to oppress people and own people as property, we're going to have to write certain laws and rules. And we have to create, basically, this is how racism was created. Because before this, there was only classism. Classism was if you're born into this family or if you have a certain amount of money, then you're cool, you're okay, you're able to move about freely and do whatever. Racism made it to where it was, if you look like this or if you're put in this label or in this box, then these laws and these rules don't pertain to you or don't protect you, but these laws and these rules protect the people who are the property owners, correct? So once it got to a point where black people were like, hey, we don't want to be property, this is why they wouldn't allow us to read and learn things for the longest time, stripped us of language and culture, because once you learn how, basically everything was language based, because okay, they couldn't write it color based back then, because then if we figured out the language, we could eventually write those people out of society or write those people out of the rules the same way they had already done, right? Native Americans, indigenous people, gone. So what do we got to do? We have to import black people. Okay, now the black people are like, fuck, we don't want to do this anymore. So now there's still shit to be done here, manifest destiny. Now we've reached from the east to the west. Okay, when I say we, I'm speaking from terms of white people back then, back in these times. Okay, so let me clarify that. So right now, when I say we, I'm talking white people from back then are saying, okay, manifest destiny, we are still trying to uphold this shit now. We have spread ourselves from the east to the west. Now we need a way to connect it and stay connected so we can travel back and forth faster than this carriage, horse, and buggy bullshit, because everybody keeps dying along the way, right? So this is where you get the railroad in. So the railroads come about, but who's going to build it, right? Now, this, you got to think, Mexicans weren't the Mexicans that they are today. They weren't these like hardworking, like la la la. They probably were, but the problem was we had beef with Mexico because Texas just did the whole fucking remember the Alamo shit. So we couldn't be like, hey, Mexicans, we need you. All right. All the Canadians were like fur trapping and doing a whole bunch of other shit. They were doing shit with the Dutch and the French and all that. We had just kicked the French out. We had just fucked with the British. So guess what? So they're like, fuck, what can we do? We get Asians. All right. So this is what the white people are thinking. All right, let's get some Asian people. Asian people. All right, cool. So boom. So they bring over Asian people. Asian people built the railroad. Now, this is what it is. I don't know how, but okay. Somehow I'm figuring, all right, I'm just throwing this out there, okay. Asians negotiated. There was a difference. There wasn't what happened with black people where it was just like, we're just going to take you, make you work, and you're going to do shit. People started figuring shit out. People knew what the fuck was going on over here at that point. So they were probably, so I'm figuring there might have been a couple of smart liaisons. Play on words. Hey, liaisons. Hey. All right, so a couple of those, right, that were like, hey, we'll come over and build your railroads, but guess what? When you open up this UCLA college, all of our people are like accepted. Just throwing that out there, okay? Because all right, watch this. Now follow me. There's a difference. There can be an observation made to say that there is a difference between Asians on the West Coast and Asians on the East Coast. And there's also a difference between the Asians who are like closer generations to like Asia and the more Americanized. And I'll get into all of this now. So now, all right, so the Asians possibly negotiated some shit, said, yo, if we're going to be blowing ourselves up and doing all this shit, building these railroads through these mountains and deserts and all this shit for you guys, there's a few things that we need to be done here, right? So then this, I guess, is, all right, now this is why when you flip shit over, it says made to China, right? Or made in China, said made to China. Also, we're going to get into the irony of this whole Budweiser and land of the free shit here. So, okay. So made in China, right? So when someone asks, hey, why are Asians, why does it seem like Asians are cheap? You go to an Asian restaurant, they count out how many chopsticks, how many soy sauce, how many napkins, how many, everything that you get. And then they make sure you pay your bill. They want you to tip, right? Okay. So this is where I figured this comes from. Asian people or Chinese or certain forms of Asians, whatever. I heard, okay, we're stick to one though. So think about it like this. If they are making most of this stuff, you got to think, say a pair of Jordans, right? Or just some Nike shoes in general. If they sell them for $60, it really, all the components and everything it takes to make a shoe, like the leather, the laces, suede, whatever you want to put, the insiding, all that stuff, all together, maybe costs $10. Let's just say that. It really costs about $7, right? We'll say it costs $7 for the material, right? For one shoe. So for two shoes, it costs $14 to make a pair of shoes. Now, the labor for that is, let's say they pay someone $1.50 or $2 to make the shoe. So now it's $16 to make the shoe, but they're charging $80 something. So every other dollar after that $16th is all profit, right? So you got to think that Asians are thinking to themselves, Asians over here in America, or if they've experienced Asia, or China and stuff, and then you come over here and you see how we enjoy and reap the benefits of plastic cups and toys and napkins and shoes and all these things, while we're running around frivolously throwing them out, donating them, throwing them away, pissing on them, burning clothes, doing all this stuff while they're made over there super cheap and like hardcore, right? Basically today's version of slavery. Maybe the people who come over here keep that in their mind. They know that. And so they possibly get a little take back in making sure that everything that I'm trying to put it in the best terms. So like That's why every cup is accounted for, right? Because they know who's making it over there. So when they give you a cup to drink out of water or drink soda out of over here and they charge you for the ice, they're not charging you for the ice. They're charging you for the fact that they know that they got someone over there in the factory type shit. Same way that like it's like a big thing that people of the Latin community come to America, work, and send money back to where they're going, right? Okay, Asians, it's somewhat similar, but they're carrying this maybe internal burden or this internal thing where they're like, look, we know there's some of us, we know we're better than other ones. We know we're better. They don't give a fuck. They come from a classist type thing. There are some of us that are better because we're born better. Fuck it, right? That's how they're looking at it. But at the same time, they acknowledge the fact that, yeah, we know our people are the ones putting together these fucking lighters and putting together the pill bottles and putting together these little things that we are taking for granted and enjoying over here, but someone is like technically slaving over it over there, right? And so that's why, okay, I can understand why they circulate their money a certain way with only within their community, or why things like that happen. Okay, boom. So we just explained the Asian thing. Now through that, we're gonna explain, I'm about to go into some other stuff. So when all of this starts to happen, so when an oppressive when a person is, okay, so something I have to explain is power versus influence. We are all born with power. Not all of us know it. Not everyone recognizes that. Because since we are all born with power, there are things put in place to chip away at our individual power. Now, what it is, the difference between power and influence, what a lot of people get confused is a lot of people um, a lot of people, I'll try to explain different versions of, or my observations of what I think it seems that people think power is. Power is the ability to say something and have it done. Power is the ability to tell people to do something and they do it. Power is the ability to be like, I want to go somewhere, and then you get there. Is these things, right? That's what it usually seems like. Now, where influence comes into play is, okay, how many people can you get to dress like you? If you put on, if I put on a shirt that says a very specific thing, how many other people can I get to wear that shirt? How many influence is, if I say this such and such thing is fucked up, we shouldn't do this, and 50,000 people or 50 million people say, yeah, you're correct, and they all participate in not doing that thing, that's influence. There is a certain amount of power that comes with that, but that's influence. Influence is scarier than power. That's why it's easy to give people power or mislead people with power, because you think power is what you have or what you need to obtain and all this. You have power all day, every day. You exert power all day, every day. You just don't realize it. The difference is, do you have influence? The problem is, once a person starts to gain influence is when you become a problem to what can be the oppressive system that is set in place. Once you realize that there is an oppressive system put in place, and then you realize you have power, are you able to gain enough influence to make a difference? That's where people get killed. Once you start influencing people to be like, oh, that's when they shoot you. That's when they poison you. That's when your car crashes. That's when you go to sleep and don't wake up. That's when some shit happens. That's when you get injected with AIDS. That's when when some shit fucks up. Because what happens is, once you understand symbolism, once you understand how things are placed in front of you all day, every day, and affect your psyche, once you understand labels and psychology, and how all of this all plays into the control of power versus influence, and depending on how you use that knowledge, can be fatal. I put that out there to indirectly say, if I get killed, what's this video? Just saying. So, because this is what it is. What is happening right now is we are being stripped of rights because, as I was stating before, the way it works here, rights are in the language. English, once you can master, if you can master the English language and wordsmith your way and can say things to and it conveyed in just the correct way to where the context and everything is correct, and you can and that's where context comes into play, because context can be everything. You can say something, however, but context can make it what it is exactly. So you have to learn the English language to realize how things are written to be in place for or against you. Now I'm about to go into a whole bunch of shit where it comes into why why certain types of people are morally arrested or put into the system and have certain rights taken away, so that when it's not for today, it's not for tomorrow. This is a longevity thing. You have to think there is longevity in place here. This is for when shit really pops off, you're not able to defend yourself. Meaning, okay, the whole thing with the right to bear arms is technically to protect ourselves from a dictatorship or the government becoming a militia against its own people. Now, in order for all of this to work, the mass populace has to believe that they are a democracy, which they are not. They are a republic operating in the form of a democracy, meaning the mass gets to feel like they're a part of the decision-making process and voting process, but still there is only this much of that mass that actually decides what happens. Once you have a council of people that are getting together, that's a republic. Understand? So, in order for all of this to work, we have to believe that. Now, in order to believe that, we have to have something to unite yet divide. So, the fact that everything was based and written and established in this country on racism, right? That's already there. So the divide is going to be there. Anybody who doesn't fuck with the fact that this is what we really fuck with, you're going to be on the divided side, right? So those people have something to unite with, and the other side has something to unite with. Therefore, there's always a reason to have an authoritative figure or a mediator, or someone that steps in saying they're mediator, therefore the government. Because they're going to say, we're here to protect you from yourselves. That's basically what they say, right? That's the point. We're here to protect you from yourselves. Now, the problem with that is all of these are still people. The people in power, or the people making the decisions that have the power to make the decisions, also happen to be the same people who regulate how much influence is allowed. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't have censorship. Though we have freedom of speech, though we have censorship. We're the land of the free. right? Home of the brave, land of the free, yet we're the home of, or we're the beacon or whatever of oppression, not just physically, because the forms of it have had to change, and this is where psychology comes into play. Now, so what I was getting at is labels. If I can label you, I can control you. If I can get you to label yourself, it's even easier for me to control you, because a label has traits or stereotypes, or there's a reason why things are categorized, because, okay, this has similar effects. This has similar. This is similar. This is what makes this similar. So we can put this in the same box. Now, I'm gonna speak in a National Geographic analogy form type thing. I'm gonna have to do this in like 1 or 2 parts because I'm almost out of time. All right, observe ants. There's a bunch of different species of ants, but if you look at ants from an aerial view, they pretty much all do the same shit. They're gonna pick up something, walk in a straight line, walk back and forth, picking that up, dropping it off somewhere, right? Now, if you observe those ants, put something in the way. Put a leaf in the way. See how long it takes for them to either walk around it, walk over it, figure out some shit. They're going to figure it out, but that line is going to keep going back and forth. They're going to keep going. All species of ants, keep going. All right, now take the same thing. Now put a slide, a wall in the way type thing. So all the ants are walking. They have a straight line, but now you put a wall in the way and start making a pathway. Now, how long does it take for these ants to either figure out to either just keep walking along the pathway, or are 1 or 2 of these ants going to eventually go, hey, and crawl over the wall, because they can do that? It's just, do they know they can do that? Do they realize they do? How long does it take to realize they can do that? Right? So that's what they're doing. All right, I'm going to bring it back. So, all right, if you want to think on a psychological level in a whole bunch of different ways, that's what's happening. So that's where you get entertainment. This is where you get sports. This is where you get politics. This is why all of this is created, so you can put people under a label and under a box, and then you can control those people based off of what that common interest is. This is why sometimes it's hard to subscribe to the idea of a doctrine, of a written religious doctrine like the Bible or like the Quran or like certain things when they're in a book form that's been copied. Because think about it like this. Think about if the Bible was a pair of panties. All right? If the Bible was a pair of panties, and these joints have been, and it's the same pair of panties, not like every time they write the New King James and blah, 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 it changes. No. It's the same pair of panties, same underwear that was put on this, say Mary Magdalene or whatever, right? Or one of the hoes that Jesus was walking around with back in the day, whatever. And somebody, and one of those apostles wrote the original everything on a pair of underwear, right? Now, if those same underwear were, or if this was what it is, whatever, right? If those same underwear were being sniffed on, passed around, jerked off, hand to hand, in this house, that house, under this bed, under that pillow, over here, sneezed on, prayed on, shit on, farted on, put on, took off, handed to, and all this, and then a couple thousand years later, it winds up in your hand. Are you still about to sniff that fucking panty? Are you about to treat them? Are you gonna be all in them panties like they brand fucking new? Nah, because at this point, them panties is diluted as a motherfucker. It was purple when you started. Now the strings is coming out of it. They're white and shit. There's spots on it that it's like, what is this? It's the same shit. All right, books, pages, all that shit. chop it up, rewrite it, do this, do that. So think about it if it was some paintings or some other shit. But anyway, let me go back to some other shit. So labels, psychology. So if I can put you in a box, if I can put a label on you, I can control you. It's easy to control people once you know what they identify themselves as. So events will take place to make people identify themselves. This is why there's so many things in place. I want to go so deep. But there's so much stuff that you would have to know. Like, literally, just take snippets of what I say, type it into Google, and then see what you get. Just literally take sentences of what I'm saying and put it into Google and see the stuff that pops up. And there you go. Because nothing of what I'm saying is bullshit. It's all in the wording, programming. This is why I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. Even when I do my royal reviews and all this is why there's a disclaimer in there saying, yo, I don't watch this shit. I do this shit for you guys. Because I don't. Because you know why I don't? Because I see all the extra stuff that's there to influence you to do other shit that you might not want to even be a part of or do, but just because you bought a ticket or sat there or you're in that seat or you turned on that TV or you did whatever, you're participating in that. Whether you want to or not, now you've participated in it. You've contributed some form of energy to that, whether it is negative or not. And especially if you identify and realize it's negative, but you continue to do it, then you're contributing to it. That's why I don't watch TV or movies or any of these things, because that, once you understand it is programming, then why would you continue to program yourself? And this is why TV is dying, because people are like, yeah, and you're doing what I would hope you're doing right now, watching shit on the internet. This is why you watch what I do, because you watch shit on the internet and get real information and get real shit and get real stuff. I just tell what I learn and what I know, and from speaking to people and the sources and places and things like that. I'm just an observation for real. A lot of this shit is observation. Just it's there. It's all there. It's just there. People are telling you all day, every day. It's just a matter of, are you processing this information correctly? Like, because, okay, what's some of this other stuff? I literally have to write down notes now sometimes because there's so much stuff I want to go into. And I touched on most of it, but I literally only touched on it. Like, motherfucker, someone at my door. Oh, see, shit's about to get real. Niggas about to have to kill somebody doing this shit. Promise you on everything, someone just walked up and twisted my doorknob, because even my cats is looking at the door like, the fuck. See? Anyway, they might not even try to let me get this video out. You see what I'm saying? I'm over here speaking some real shit. And they might be trying to kill me right now. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Y'all know what's good. If you ain't got a gun yet, go get one. Protect yourself, because it might not be a few years, it could be 50 years, but that's not that long in the longevity of scheme that we might not be allowed to have them. Go. You know what? No, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to say, protect yourself in the way that you feel is best and is correct. And whatever that method of protection is, as long as it's within the legal bounds and you know how to operate within your legal realm, and if anything, if it goes to court, defend the fuck out of that shit and take it to trial and rock it all the fucking way, because all of this shit is just loopholes. Learn the English language. Defend yourself verbally, physically, and everything, because soon we're being turned into these fucking mush people. They're trying to make us soft. I can see it. I feel it. I hear it. I'm observing it. They are we are being made soft while there's still these rock hard motherfuckers controlling everything. And the thing is, they just want everyone else to be mushy Play-Doh people that they can just mush and push around and form into what they need to form them into and send them out and stick them into the places that they need to stick them and operate so they can pay off the fucking debt that we owe to fucking China and these other places for building our fucking country and giving us technology and giving us money and fucking shit, all right? Because all this is bullshit. It's a fucked up facade, and that's why there's world currency and there's all the whole bunch of shit. All this shit is fucked up and bullshit. Everybody owes each other money. Everybody's doing favors for each other as a country. Somebody gets shot and killed over in this place because really, and we do it because really we owe this person a favor from back when this person was president and that guy was a dude and this senator needed something done. And so there, I'm telling you, there's a bunch of fucked up shit in place, okay? Go out there. Just know it's happening. Know that. Find a purpose, because ownership is nothing. Because of the way commodities are made and the way there's contracts in every little weird thing and the way a bunch of shit is worded, nothing we buy, we own. Nothing that we buy, we own. And don't use credit. Fuck credit. Cash is everything. If you got enough cash, credit ain't shit. Because if you go into a place and they be like, oh, are you going to do credit or cash? Look at the difference of of how they treat somebody when they're doing credit shit and versus someone who's doing cash shit. Cash, they get the big eyes and the smile. Credit, there's always like a like extra little thing to it. All right? Because you're getting fucked. You're getting, excuse my language, but fuck you anyway. Freedom of speech. So don't excuse me. Excuse you. Excuse you for opening your fucking ears. But, yo, this shit is fucked up. All of this is embedded. I'm telling you, down to this fucking beer can, dude. There's shit in this there's symbolism and shit in this beer can that has to deal with fucking racism, oppression, fucking I'm telling you, it's everywhere. It's a matter of fact. Do you recognize it? And are you going to continue to let people chip away at your power and your influence? Or are you going to allow yourself to realize, oh shit, I have power. People have been trying to take it from me every day of my life in little ways. Some people don't mean to and some people mean to, but don't let them do it to you. If you can recognize an exchange or a transfer of power, or where someone thinks that